Most people think that turning 50 means the money game is basically over, like the best financial moves are behind you. That's wrong. And honestly, it's one of the most expensive beliefs you can hold. Here's the thing. Your 50s might actually be the decade where you have the most power to change your financial future. You're earning more than you ever have. Your kids might be out of the house. You finally know yourself well enough to stop making dumb money mistakes. But here's the problem. Most people at 50 don't know what to actually do with that power. They either freeze up, keep doing what they've always done, or make decisions that feel smart but quietly destroy their retirement. So today, I'm going through 7 financial decisions that can genuinely make you richer after 50. Actually richer. The problem nobody talks about. Let's start with something uncomfortable. There are millions of people in their 50s right now who look financially fine from the outside. They have a home, a decent salary, maybe some retirement savings, but under the surface, they are nowhere near where they need to be. A big part of why this happens is that most financial advice is built for people in their 20s and 30s. Start early, invest consistently, time is your friend. Great advice, but what if you didn't do that? What if life happened? Divorce, medical bills, helping your parents, putting your kids through school, real things that real people deal with. The good news is, after 50, you actually have tools and options that younger people don't. The decisions you make in the next 10 to 15 years will decide whether you retire comfortably or whether you're working until your body gives out. So let's not waste time. Here are the 7 decisions that actually matter. Decision 1. Max out your catch-up contributions immediately. If you have a 401k or an IRA, pay close attention here. The IRS knows that a lot of people get to their 50s behind on retirement savings. So they created something called catch-up contributions. Once you turn 50, you're allowed to put more money into your retirement accounts than younger workers can. For 2024, the standard 401k contribution limit is $23,000. But if you're 50 or older, you can put in an extra $7,500. That's $30,500 total. For IRAs, the regular limit is $7,000, and you can add another $1,000 as a catch-up. Most people have no idea this exists, and the people who do know about it often say, "I'll start doing that next year." Don't do that. The reason this matters so much is tax advantages. Money going into a traditional 401k reduces your taxable income right now. Money in a Roth IRA grows tax-free. These aren't small benefits. Over 10 to 15 years, the difference between maxing this out and not doing it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars in actual retirement wealth. Decision 2. Get serious about eliminating high-interest debt. Credit card debt with a 20% interest rate is not just annoying. It is actively destroying your ability to build wealth. Think about it this way. If you're paying 20% interest on debt, you need to find an investment that returns more than 20% just to break even. Almost nothing does that consistently. So before you try to get clever with investments or strategies, the single best return you can get might be paying off your credit cards. Now, not all debt is the same. A mortgage at 3% or 4%, that might be worth keeping while you invest elsewhere. But consumer debt, personal loans with high rates, credit cards, attack those aggressively. A good approach is something called the avalanche method. List all your debts, put them in order from highest interest rate to lowest, and throw every extra dollar at the top one, while making minimum payments on the rest. When that's paid off, move to the next one. It feels slow at first, but the momentum builds fast. Decision 3. Rethink your investment strategy. Not the way you think. Here's something people get wrong after 50. They hear, "You're getting older, so be safer with your money." And they move everything into bonds and low-risk stuff.
Being too conservative is just as dangerous as being too aggressive. If you retire at 65, you might live for another 25 or 30 years. That means your money needs to keep growing for 3 decades. If your portfolio is too conservative, inflation will eat it alive. A dollar today won't buy the same thing in 2045. The goal isn't to avoid risk. The goal is to manage it smartly. A common rule of thumb is to subtract your age from 110, and that's roughly the percentage of your portfolio that should be in stocks. So at 55, that's about 55% in stocks. That's still a significant exposure to growth. Work with a fee-only financial advisor, someone who doesn't earn commissions from selling you products, to figure out the right allocation for your specific situation. And if you haven't already, look into index funds, low fees, broad diversification, and historically solid returns over long periods. Decision 4. Start planning around healthcare costs. Seriously, healthcare is one of the biggest retirement expenses most people completely underestimate. Fidelity estimates that the average retired couple will need over $300,000 just for healthcare costs in retirement. That's not including long-term care, which is a whole separate conversation. If you're 50 right now and you're not thinking about this, you're setting yourself up for a painful surprise. So what can you do? First, if you have access to a health savings account, or HSA, through a high-deductible health plan at work, max it out. An HSA is one of the few accounts with a triple tax advantage. Your contributions go in tax-free, the money grows tax-free, and withdrawals for medical expenses are tax-free. And here's a lesser-known benefit. Once you turn 65, you can withdraw HSA money for anything, not just medical costs, and you just pay regular income tax on it, making it basically function like a traditional IRA. Second, look into long-term care insurance. Policies are much cheaper when you buy them in your early 50s compared to your mid-60s, and the reality is, a lot of people will need some form of long-term care at some point, whether that's in-home help or a nursing facility. The costs can be devastating if you're not prepared.
Decision 5. Make a decision about your home. Your home is probably one of your biggest assets. After 50, you need to make a conscious decision about what role it plays in your retirement plan, not just let it sit there by default. One option is downsizing. If your kids are out of the house and you're sitting in a 4-bedroom home, selling it and moving somewhere smaller could free up a significant chunk of money. Let's say you sell a home worth $600,000 and buy something for $350,000. That's $250,000 you just unlocked that can go directly into your retirement accounts or investments. Another option is paying off your mortgage before you retire. Going into retirement without a mortgage payment removes a massive amount of financial pressure. Even if you have to redirect money from other areas to make this happen, the peace of mind and the reduced monthly expenses in retirement can be worth it. A third option, and this is for people who want to stay in their home, is looking at a reverse mortgage. This is a controversial tool, and it's not right for everyone. But for some homeowners over 62, it can be a legitimate way to tap into home equity without selling. Just make sure you understand it fully and talk to an independent advisor before going near one. Decision 6. Build or strengthen multiple income streams. One paycheck is a risky way to live at any age, but it becomes especially risky as you get closer to retirement. After 50, building additional income streams isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a real financial strategy. The most powerful form of additional income at this stage of life is something that generates money without you trading hours for it. Dividend-paying stocks are one example. If you build a portfolio of quality dividend stocks, those companies send you a check just for owning their shares. Rental income is another option. Buying a small rental property or even renting out a room can bring in consistent monthly cash. But you don't have to go that big. There's a massive market right now for people with experience and expertise. If you've been in your industry for 20 or 30 years, there are people willing to pay you to consult, coach, or mentor. You could set up a simple consulting arrangement, charge by the hour, and bring in meaningful extra income without building a whole business from scratch. Even a few hundred extra dollars a month, invested consistently, adds up to something real over 10 or 15 years. Decision 7. Get a clear picture of your retirement number, right now. This is the one that most people avoid because it feels scary. But not knowing is way scarier. You need to figure out what number you actually need to retire comfortably. Here's a simple way to think about it. Take what you expect to spend each year in retirement and multiply it by 25. That's roughly how much you need saved up if you follow the 4% withdrawal rule, which basically says you can withdraw 4% of your portfolio each year without running out of money over a typical retirement. So if you plan to spend $60,000 a year in retirement, you need about $1.5 million. If that number feels overwhelming, that's actually useful information, because now you can reverse engineer it. How much do you have now? How many years do you have to grow it? What rate of return do you need? What do you need to change? A lot of people at 50 avoid this calculation because they don't want to face the gap. But that gap doesn't go away just because you ignore it. And if you face it now, you still have time to close it. At 65 or 67, you have almost no time to adjust. The climax, what it all comes down to. Here's the truth that ties all 7 of these together. The biggest financial mistake people make after 50 isn't a bad investment or a wrong decision. It's staying in autopilot. It's assuming that things will just work out. It's thinking, I'll deal with that later. Later has a habit of arriving faster than anyone expects. The people who actually end up comfortable in retirement are not always the ones who made the most money during their careers. A lot of them just made a handful of smart decisions at the right time and stuck to them. They stopped carrying expensive debt. They maxed out what they could. They got a plan and followed it. That is completely doable for almost anyone, but it requires deciding to actually do it. Let me quickly run through the 7 decisions one more time. 1. Start maxing out your catch-up contributions. That extra room in your retirement accounts exists for a reason. Use it. 2. Eliminate high-interest debt as fast as possible. It's the best guaranteed return you can get. 3. Keep enough growth in your investment strategy. Too conservative is just as dangerous as too risky. 4. Plan for healthcare costs seriously. Open an HSA if you can, and think about long-term care insurance before it gets expensive. 5. Make a real decision about your home. Whether you downsize, pay it off, or do something else, just do it intentionally. 6. Build at least one additional income stream. Your expertise and assets can work for you in ways you haven't explored yet. And 7. Figure out your retirement number right now. The earlier you face the gap, the more time you have to fix it. None of these things require you to be a financial genius. They just require you to make a decision and act on it.